Hello, everybody. It looks like today we're having a day of technical issues. I don't know. Lyndon, can we hear you now? No. And Ammon is rebooting. He was his camera was working up, or wasn't working at all. But we do have some people who are technically here. Doc, you want to say hello and tell us what you've been up to this week?
Hello, everybody. Oh, boy, this week I just wrapped up a big project a couple days ago and finally getting some breathing room again. And I had a nice conversation this morning with my favorite developer who is building a custom plugin for me for the Search News Central site. It'll be cross-site searching capability for database searching. So that's going to keep me busy for a couple of days.
Fabrizio, just say hello and tell us what you are up to this week.
Hello, hi. This week I think like business as usual, pretty much. Like we have a bunch of projects to kick off and some stuff with developers. So yeah, nothing that different. And the usual iron, which is not going away. And this week will be particularly intense. Yeah, even a few social roles. So not just SEO, but yeah, pretty much the same.
Okay. Michael, you want to say hello and tell us what you've been up to this week?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, just testing. So I was just in SEO hell for a moment recently because I have just re-entered a project, which I think every auditor kind of gets in this position where you have begun something, you come up with your list of things that need to be attacked, you prioritize, you spell out the steps, you help with solutions, and then maybe you go away and you step aside for 3 months or 6 months, and then you're invited to come back into the mix again, and everybody's kind of lost their way and needs to revisit step by step what they should have been doing while you were kind of absent. And I was just looking around for my really sharp stick and my carrot on the end of the and that's what I've been up to.
It really helps to stay on top of all that with a good project management program, like a Basecamp or something.
I was just using a teamwork portal and was really impressed with how simple and easy it was to use, how you could do all your communications, store docs, and all the rest of it. So yeah, that stuff's great.
Actually, on that topic, we are in the middle of reshuffling things and like moving between Trello and not Trello, Asana, and a lot of tools. And ultimately, I went back to spreadsheet and probably reuse this spreadsheet to refill all the rest. There's a lot of back and forth. When you break the flow, exactly, when you break the flow, like using one, then you feel that like it's not useful, and then you have to start from scratch and going back. Just kind of.
Yeah.
I do remember having to do audits of my clients' work and implementation of recommendations for websites. We would make recommendations, and then sometimes things would happen, sometimes they wouldn't, and we'd have to check them again after a few months. And I'd end up having to do audits of work done on a site to see if any of the recommendations had been done.
Basically auditing your audit.
Right.
It's never ending, and you want to keep that project management as minimal as possible because you could really end up being like, that's why there's job roles, they call them project managers, and that's all they do. In some Microsoft product or something, and they just change the status of things like all day long. And I prefer to get things done instead of just tracking what's done. But yeah, so that's all good stuff. Everybody has a flavor of project management or software that they like. But I agree with Fabrizio, definitely. Once you get your feet wet with something, stick with it, because that's when you start to get efficient, and you don't have to fool around with it so much.
Right. I'm talking about back in the days before everybody had Google Analytics put on the website, and you would ask for things from clients like log files, and they would say, "What are those again?"
Yeah, more than half of it is education, isn't it?
Right.
That's definitely part. What gets me crazy is when I, as taught by the illustrious Bill Slosky, to always explain clearly and provide background so people know not just what to do, but kind of like why to do it. Then I get my teeth kicked down my throat by people who say things like, well, you don't have to explain it to me. I know all this stuff already. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Just trying to be polite, and helpful.
Mm-hmm. William, it's good to see you. Why don't you say hello and tell us what you've been up to the last week or so?
Sure. Hello. Thanks for having me on the show again. Yeah, I've been going back to my local guides roots. That 1,600 companies and 11-mile radius study. Just making sure that everybody's was looking for a percentage, right, of how many people were not verified with their map listing, and it's amazing how many. I was finding anywhere from 50 to 60%, and I'm also finding that with other top contributors inside the forums, where they're basically seeing that when they're helping in the help forums. So it's kind of going back to that education piece, going to the Chamber of Commerce's and working with them, as well as I'm working with a couple different startups out here. Basically, the startup hubs, I guess you can say, for the entrepreneur groups.
Right.
So trying to get them educated in when they're launching a new startup, making sure that the foundation is set with simple things like the webmaster tools, the analytics, the Google My Business type stuff that is the foundation of any website. And then doing the same thing with Bing and focus on Google local guides and maps. So a lot of fun.
Do you proactively go and meet a business and ask them to register? How does that work for people?
Well,
the company that is not registered, do you go into them, or you just a study, or how is it going?
Well, no. What I've done just simply is, as a local guide, I don't know if you study, it's really walking, just like the Google Streetcar does. They drive by a business and then they take a picture, and what they're looking for is that simple address. When the second stage of verification that business exists is through a Google Local Guides eye. And what they're also helping us do, or what I did in this study, is to take a picture like the streetcar did, but have a really, really nice shot. Where you've got blue skies, you've got clouds in the background, you've got a really high-level HDR plus photo, and then putting that up into their map listing. But what I'm also doing is when I'm looking at their map listing, uploading that, I'm then identifying if their website is missing or their time of operation, their hours of operation is missing. You would be shocked on how many edits I've had to do in the map listings just fixing that. I'll go out to their Facebook account, or I'll go out to their website and get their operation.
Yeah, okay. I do some of it within the local guys program, but then when it comes to a business actually registering on Google My Business, they have to do it themselves. It's not that you can do it for them, right? To actually take control of that listing.
Correct. And that's what I'm actually putting out to the Chambers of Commerce, or even they have to actually do that themselves. But a lot of these people don't know that it's even there, so they're not really Google searching themselves. And so what I want it's a simple little task that I want them to do is in the board meeting when they're sipping on their coffee and eating their bagels, I want them to just have one little task. Go up to your phone and type in your business name and look for yourself. Look at the map listing, and if you see this little thing that says claim this business, go back to your office with your marketing team and then fix that. Get that registered. That way you get a postcard sent to your company, put that in. Now you're able to respond to reviews. An example I shared a year ago was a Starbucks that wasn't even registered. And you think, oh yeah, all these big companies actually are registered. But as of my last look at this property a couple weeks ago, they're still actually not verified. And that's something to say with big accounts. I mean, how are they managing this? And it's a lot of work, I would imagine. But then you go back to the small business owner, and if they're not even aware that they have the capability, and they might even have 20 reviews, and sometimes they're bad reviews. How are you going to be able to respond to those reviews as a business owner? And that's where the company's missing out.
Right. When we do proposals for businesses, we do little mini audits of their business to tell them some things that we noticed on their site that could be improved upon with an SEO campaign. One of the things I check on is whether or not they have a Google My Business verification. And usually they don't have a knowledge panel showing up if they haven't verified in Google My Business. So let them know that they need to verify to get a knowledge panel to start showing up.
Absolutely, and they have more control. They can add their own pictures, such as like internal pictures of your business. I mean, if you have a restaurant, that's perfect, because now you can go in and be able to take your smartphone, just like I've done with all these pictures. I'm not using anything fancy. I'm using my smartphone, walk around, take that picture. But if you're a restaurant owner, go in and take pictures of your food.
Right.
Make a beautiful dish, put it up on Google My Business. It's going to start showing to your customers.
You've received a few emails from Google telling you how many times your photos have been viewed, and it's some ridiculous number, right?
I think, yes, it is. I believe 44 million.
Right. So I went to a local guides meetup, and there was a guy who specialized in taking photos of places and being the GPS image for them in Google navigation. And he would have the picture that shows up when someone's navigating to a place. And his had been seen like 44 million times. And he said he specialized in going inside of a place and taking a picture immediately inside the door.
Yes.
That tended to be the one that often showed up as the navigation GPS listing for him.
And you normally see also the address. In most of those pictures, when you're actually at that front view, you see a logo, you see the store, you see the hours of operation on the door. But that is also another one. Or sometimes it overwrites it with a high quality food image. So some of the things I've been doing in wintertime, because I don't take pictures like here in the Midwest, it was really ugly with wintertime. So you're not going to actually have the pretty flowers, the green grass, and get the nice picture that's really business quality. That's what I'm looking for. So what I did this whole winter is I went inside, like your friend did, and took pictures of their food and basically put it up online. And I got a chance to speak with a lot of business owners. And I normally ask for permission. I'm going to be taking some pictures, and they have no problem with that. So, and it just helps the business owner. You've got a lot of people that love to take pictures of their food, and allowing them to put it on your Google Maps page is brilliant, just like Yelp, right? Because I think Yelp has a program just like Local Guides does, which is just kind of working with the restaurants. So.
Say hello to Boris. Boris, hello. Why don't you tell us hi and what you've been up to for the last week or so?
Hello, I'm Boris from Germany. I'm a local guide too, and it's a hobby from me, and I also have a YouTube channel. And the last week I was trying to film with my Canon EOS some animals here around, because I think it would be fit to the local guide program to show the people what they can observe here in Herzberg am Harz. It's the Harz Mountains. And I'm participating here because Mr. Rock has told me that I could learn here some stuff about SEO, and like in the last moments, get tips how to handle shop owner or what could be relevant as a local guide. And so I want to have a peek in and to observe what's going on here.
Well, it's good to have you join us.
Welcome.
Hello.
And it's nice to actually find a face behind that avatar.
During the other hangouts, I thought all the time that the people could see me because I was always transferring an image to the people from Google, and I didn't know that that the other participants were not able to see me. So that's me.
Boris, you're a community manager, right? Google Plus community manager as well.
Yes.
Just like I am in Kansas City. So perfect, yeah.
Yes, it is the Google Local Guides community manager from Herzberg am Harz, but it is that the people are there to observe what's going on, and there are not many people participating and delivering content to it. So most of the time I post something there.
Fantastic. I've loved all the engagement we've gotten in the Kansas City from you as well.
Was it easy to find for you to find other people participating with your community? So this is here. It's not easy to find people because Germany is Facebook land, and all the people are at Facebook. And if you talk to them, hello, Google Local Guides, they always say, why? We are on Facebook. We don't need Google. And yes. Yeah. Okay, I tell them Google is the most important search engine. Maybe you should do something there, but there's always you have always to talk to the people then.
Yeah, it took me a while to get my community engaged. I started out with a couple here and there, but nobody was posting. I still find that I post a lot more than anybody else, but my community is starting to actually engage and putting some of the pictures of what they're doing and activities. And then we did we actually hosted in Kansas City, we did the 36 picture event that was global. And that was a great event. We had a photo walk, and I think we had 5 people there. And we had a drone photographer, so we had a drone that went up in the air and took pictures of pinstripes where we were hosting the event. And then afterwards, we went back and started practicing on photo shoots and technique on what we do for food photography as well as outside photography. So, and then we walked through and started taking pictures through all the other stores, and ended up with a great end of the day. So, but it's starting to actually increase. We're getting a little more participation. One thing else, Boris, you might want to do, I think they mentioned this in the last hangout with Google, was I'm having a hangout just like we're doing here, but I'll be hosting a hangout in just the Kansas City forum. That way my guys everybody can kind of get together and talk about where they wanted to do a next meetup, they want to do a photo walk, a food crawl, or whatever other different activities Google has for that.
Yes, I think Kansas City, it's maybe a little bit easier to do that. Herzberg am Harz, it's a rural area. It's very beautiful landscapes here around, but not as many people as in Kansas City, I suppose. So it's from that point of view not as easy as it is at your place. And well, I will see what's how it is working on. I hope that people will respond to the posts and to the movies I post there, and then it will go turn on.
Yep, just keep playing with it, and it'll keep going and growing. That's the fun part. Even the Kansas City one started out as a baby, and it's not even halfway, through the seasons, or 2 years old even. So.
Okay.
Looks like we have. Oh, never mind. I thought.
You got yourself confused, did you there, William?
I did. I was like, okay, so wait a second. Yeah. Brain fart. I was thinking local guys again, so anyhow. I mean, it's even embedded in my phone. So, I mean, one of the rarest stickers you can find.
It's a good thing you're already married.
You nerd. So who has the best swag? Like, you know, that's a great phone case. You must have picked that up at one of their local guide events from Google.
Actually, no, this is an OtterBox. It just happens to be a white OtterBox.
And you taped it on there. Oh.
And I basically I grabbed a couple of stickers when I was down at the Googleplex. And, I cut up, basically they come in sticker blocks. So basically I had a whole bunch of stickers, and I gave a bunch of those stickers on my photo walk when we got everybody together for the local guides meetup. But I had this idea. I'm like, oh yeah, white case. I normally run around with a black case, but this one actually stands out.
That's perfect for the Google. It projects the Google image. It has their, you know, visual branding.
Well, sometimes you get confusion on people's faces when you're taking pictures of their building, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And so I'm
making your own swag out of stickers. It's a low. I'm sorry, William. It's a low.
Making my own swag. Well, you know what? When it's very rare, I'll show you a couple things that they gave me. Like basically, I've got. Well, here's a robot. Here's the actual.
There you go.
Android for little kids, right? But that's not official either. Let's see. Wait. Here's an envelope from Google. What do they have in this one?
Envelopes are not swag. You cannot get an envelope.
And I got patches.
Okay,
that's real swag. I can't.
That's better.
All right, and it's official.
You got to sew those on your camera vest, William. So when you walk around, everybody sees you coming.
I'm pretty sure that an empty envelope is not going to qualify as swag.
You pull patches out of it, man.
What else do I have in here?
Otherwise, we've all got tax office swag.
There you go.
It's so much fun. Yeah. Anyhow.
Plus, you know, part of your attire needs to be like a cowboy hat like Doc Sheldon might wear, because you spend half your time with your potential clients herding cats, right? Like, let's get you verified. Let's see how many steps this takes, you know, hey.
It's amazing when you see a Chamber of Commerce that's not even verified, and they have a blue screen. It's like a blue head on their profile. And they are not even aware that this program or even Google Maps exists, but they use it on a daily basis for their driving directions and everything else. But yet they don't think to actually type in, you know, Kansas City Chamber of Commerce or Overland Park. You know, those different chambers are business hubs. I mean, they are there. Businesses are there to learn, right?
Yeah, it brings to mind a 4-letter word. And it starts with an F, but it's not what you think. So if you want them to jump on board, the 4-letter word is free, right? It's like, you could have that profile. Well, I don't know what I'd use it for, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but it's free. And then they're like, oh, William, will you help me with that?
Well, even like my last title on LinkedIn for my last article was, are you in control? You know, Google Maps, are you in control? And most people are not in control. There's a movie theater just right where we did the photo walk. And that movie theater, it's a private one, so it's not like an AMC. It's a private little one, but it's one of the really nice ones. 430-something reviews, and they're not verified, right? Mm-hmm. And their rating is a 3-point-something, right? So now you know there's some bad reviews in there. But if the business owner took the time to go through those bad reviews, maybe they could change that review, because the person that left the review left it for a reason, and at the same time,
maybe it's because they handle criticism really badly and annoy people. And once you give them the power to answer everybody, they're going to actually drive their rankings down. It takes a lot of training for most businesses to learn how to handle negative reviews. It's one of the toughest things that companies have to deal with. I would not lead companies with, oh, you can answer your negative criticism.
Yeah,
because that will get them into so much trouble.
Yeah. But you know, you think about it. You got companies out there, even these big brands. And I mean, I can go on a list. I have a whole tangent. You go to the just go and Google search Kansas City Airport and just look around all the businesses. There's some big businesses in there, including the airlines, and they're not even verified. And they have. I mean, I put most of their pictures up there. I'm gonna have to go walk that whole area, airport, and take those pictures next.
I have to check and see. I wonder if United Airlines is verified.
I did a whole session on SEMrush, and we basically went through all of the ones, all the airlines in there were not verified. And that was last year. So that was November when I was talking about that one.
Yeah.
But I've been doing the study ever since I learned about the Local Guides program back when I went to the summit in 2015 for the Google Top Contributors. So one of my friends had this weird icon, this little badge, little thing, star icon. I'm like, what is that? Are you a TC? You know, or a Rising Star? And no, it's a different program. Okay. What do you do? So that's when I learned about it.
I think that answering reviews is, you know, the day you expose your business, you know, your product, especially if it's a service, you pretty much need to learn how to, like, there's very little, you know, unless no one bothers to lead them. But like, even though you get very positive ones, learning how to answer the bad ones is pretty critical, because these are the ones who will pick a fight. These are the ones who, like, so for example, we have something like 38,000 something Trustpilot reviews, and we have 9.5 stars, which is pretty high. Like, everyone is pretty happy, and like, our customers tend to recommend our product to other customers. Still, answering to the tricky ones, sometimes when we get customer support folks to help on this subject, is quite impressive how much they need to learn, and how much is there's never the right answer, especially with people who phrase that in a way that probably
it goes right back to that old saying: you can please all of the people some of the time, you can please some of the people all of the time, but you cannot please all of the people all of the time. You are always going to get negative criticism that you cannot make better. It's that simple. It's always going to happen.
But then, like, some people is down to how you can either not just shut down that criticism. It's more about like figuring out how not to turn something that is not a big deal into something that is bigger. And some companies do quite impressively. Sometimes they something that it wouldn't be such a big deal, but because of the situation and context, it can become.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at an airline who simply had one seat too few. Companies get things wrong. I bet you after that happened, they really just wished they'd offered more money. You know, somebody would have got off quite happily, and it would have cost them a lot less.
Yeah, or otherwise, companies especially in the startup world, where they at the beginning they pay a lot of attention because they have very little customers and they want to please them all, and then they end up turning customer support into a pleasing machine. You know, there's a little mistake into what they've done. You know, here is £100 back. As long as you you will leave a positive review, like they do a lot to push these things. You know, and sometimes I think it's almost negative. It's like, okay, you know, I can take advantage of you being kind once, but then if the service is not actually good, you're not gonna get away with it, right?
Well, okay, let's see if we've got one tip each. My one for dealing with negative criticism is to tell every company, look, you're not answering the critic, answer other people who are reading what the critic says. Make it neutral, make it for the third parties. Imagine that other people are seeing that negative criticism, speak to them. Anyone else?
No.
Wow, not many tips for dealing with negative criticism. We're all hoping we're getting up. Come on, Bill.
It goes back to
so criticism is free feedback. It's your chance to improve. It's your chance to learn what you're doing wrong and start doing it right.
And even more so, it's a real opportunity to get other users see that you treat people's concerns right, that you really look after the problem. And I've found that even when you get somebody in that is trolling you, if it's obvious enough, you'll find that your other people are going to jump in there and defend you. You don't have to. They'll shut them down. And that usually carries a lot more weight with people that come across that sort of comment later on.
Yeah, it's nice to have the community to jump on board. That requires, previous effort. So build your network before you need it was the advice I ever heard. But, the idea that, there's companies that the people in the company themselves have sent out surveys. They're crying for attention from customers. Tell us what's good about the product. Tell us what's bad about the product. And have notoriously low, less than 0.5% survey responses. Nobody fills out surveys, right? They'll send people $1, they'll send them a lollipop, whatever, and they never get responses. And yet those same companies who cry for attention from customers treat like the feedback on social media as if it's like the plague or something. They hate it, they don't want to deal with it, or worse, they never even pay any attention to it, which is a disaster, just waiting to happen.
Yeah. Free information. Totally. I mean, especially if you're a restaurant and they're bashing on your food. Well, there might be a reason. If the donut's dry, then add a little moisture to it. If chicken's actually overcooked, then fix it.
Yeah, missed opportunities.
The problem is that a lot of companies, and let's face it, we deal with this as SEOs. We always meet clients who know best. I know best for my business. How often have we heard that line over the years?
Yeah.
They often do forget, look, your customer knows what he wants to pay for and doesn't want to pay for. You're not an expert in it. Your customer is. And if you're not pleasing him, you don't have a business.
Customer is always right.
He's not always the right customer.
Yeah. But I guess the subject of replying to everyone is quite, even though sometimes, for example, in our case, we deal with people's money, so it's not always the case that we can give a full explanation online about what happened. We need to take things privately. But equally replying to everyone, no matter what is the subject, is like, it helps other people to also participate, because if you don't reply, no one's going to jump on board and say it's actually not true. But if you start picking the conversation, you leave also opportunity to other people to join.
Hi, Dawn. Yeah. Welcome to the Hangout. How are you today?
Hi. I just thought I'd swing by to say hello, just because I've not been for ages. So I just thought I felt a bit ignorant. So you'll have to excuse me. I'm not looking my best. I've been up to my ears in student marking, so I've not even got my makeup on. So yeah, I'll probably be better off putting my other picture on. So.
Hey, at least you've got the choice. For some reason, Chrome is just not letting me do video today. Not much I can do about it.
Yeah, well.
That's the artificial intelligence saving us.
It could be.
Is everybody okay yet?
Okay.
Just having a good time. Talking about reviews and the importance of it.
Yeah, I put some comments there. It's actually quite annoying when you can't kind of putting comments on and people are still talking. You're like, yeah, no. So, yeah, absolutely. I was just thinking that it is actually a way of organisations. If they can turn it around, they can turn it into a way of saving fortunes on customer service, because they identify where the big issues are. One of our students put together a really good case study whereby part of their strategy was, kind of around retention, and they literally looked at all the issues on social whereby people were sort of saying negative things and grouped them according to like categories of where the brand could use it to sort of fix cracks, if you like, in their operations. So
Yeah.
you know that they're there for a reason. If many people are saying bad things, it's not just because they've all had a bad day or because they're being spiteful. It's because there's an issue that needs to be fixed somewhere. Yeah, that's my view. Yeah.
Well, exactly that. I think, you know, nobody goes around going, I'm going to write 8 bad reviews today and then looks for an excuse to do so. You have annoyed somebody to the point where they've gone out of their way to leave feedback.
Right. I'm about ready to do that for a book that Dawn recommended on Twitter. I ordered, and they sent me the book. The cover was the right cover. The book inside the cover was the wrong book. I opened it up to start reading it, and it's some biography of some state legislator from the 1850s.
Oh wow!
Bill, somebody sent you an illustration of the saying, "Never judge a book by its cover."
Pretty much, but I'm tempted to write a review so that they spend some money to do some quality assurance to make sure that doesn't happen.
I don't understand why Dawn would allow a thing like that to happen, though.
Actually, when the book arrives, Bill, it is incredible. It was funny because I've taken to reading it in the gym, but, you know, actually not on the treadmill, because I did do it on the treadmill for a while, but then I got bored of doing that. So what I do now is I read the book and walk around the gym, in a circle, reading the book. And the personal trainer...
Are you sure you actually got the real one, though?
I did, yeah, I did. I got the real book. It's, you know, everybody can buy this book. I know that Bill's slagging it off, and he's not slagging off the book. He's slagging off Springer for...
What really annoyed me was customer service told me I need to send back the old book.
Yeah.
Like they're going to resell it?
Yeah. No, that is really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. They should just send you another one. They should just send you another one.
Right. They insisted I send them a photograph of the cover and then a photograph of the inside cover to show that it's the wrong book. I guess they didn't trust me. I had to send the whole book back to them.
Yeah, it's really rubbish. I mean, it's an expensive book as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like
$76. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really expensive.
It's not like somebody's likely to make that up either, is it? I mean, of all the things you might make up in a complaint, you sent the wrong book inside the cover is probably bottom of the list.
Exactly. No, it's really bad. Really bad. But when you get it, Bill, it will make up for it because it is an excellent book and everybody should get it, to be honest.
I did start reading the table of contents on the website, and I'm looking forward to reading it when I get the book.
It's really good. It's called Natural Language Understanding in the Semantic Web, yeah? And it is looking at data mining and understanding all the different types of, even like homonymies, understanding the issues that pronouns cause.
Confirm 25264-927.
Yeah, no, so it talks about issues with the real issues with understanding pronouns when they're trying to understand entities. Because obviously what happens is when it talks about he, she, his, her, etc., the order in which they are said causes some real issues. And when you start to then include multiple people or a pronoun gets mentioned before an entity, it causes real problems. So it's unbelievably fascinating, and it looks at...
I was just wondering, you were talking about how, you know, gender might figure into it and cause issues. So is that why the French language has genders for like everything?
No, it's not really around gender. It's anything. It's pronouns apparently are the most difficult thing to understand in information retrieval and semantic mining, because.
Could you give us an example?
What's that?
Could you give us an example?
So yeah, okay. So let me give you an example. Yeah. So Lyndon went for a walk. Then he had his lunch. Yeah. He met Ammon, and they met Bill, who said hi both. The problem is when you've introduced, like, you could include women there or men, whatever. It's the he's, they, who. Do you understand? It's like those are the pronouns that are just used to generically describe something that they're not actually connected to, and that come in slightly different orders. Yeah. So connecting entities with actions there is really, really. It's the book stresses over and over. Pronouns are the most difficult form of understanding of it, who what actually relates to entity. Yeah. So it's absolutely fascinating. You should read it.
I presume the difficulty is in knowing which pronoun to use itself rather than being able to understand the meaning.
It's not. No, it's not so much that. It's the fact that when you say things like him, he, his, her, and there's multiple people mentioned in a page, and maybe in slightly different order and a bit mashed up, it's difficult to know which he is talking about or which they are talking about. Say you've got a crowd and you pull out like two people, then you say they, is it relating to the crowd or is it relating to two people? And if it's the two people, who are the two people? And if a pronoun is mentioned for a person, then that's a really big problem. Because
that kind of falls in place with something I saw just the other day, Don, where the most, this is out of one of the universities, said that their study showed that the most misused pronoun is the term that in place of who. You know, here's Bill and Ammon that host the Bill and Ammon Bogus Hangout.
Thought the most
that is totally misused in that context.
Well,
it should be who.
You know, in academia,
use that algo.
Absolutely. But you know, in academia anyway, that is the most wasteful word ever. When we were doing our dissertations, and whenever I sort of speak to students who are doing assignments, I'll say, look through that piece of work if you're looking for like losing word count, and just pull out all the words like that, because that is actually the most misused and irrelevant word ever. You could probably strip that out of most pieces of text and it would still make the same sense. Yeah. So that's one of the things that all the lecturers used to say, just take it out, always get rid of that, because it just means absolutely nothing most of the time. So linguistics is really interesting, and especially when you start looking at it in the context of like web search as such. There's some really interesting stuff about wiki page redirects as well, that's used in conjunction with DB SparQL, to retrieve stuff. And they use Wikipedia's redirect on things like mobile phone. They run a query in DB SparQL, and it's all in the book, and it literally strips out all of the things that people search for in Wikipedia that are alternatives to mobile phone that Wikipedia then redirects to mobile phone. So it's things like cellular phone, cell phone, mobile phone, mobile telephone, etc. So that's really useful for grouping together things that are potentially seen as the same thing with different terms, for semantic writing, potentially. So yeah, it's really interesting. You should get it, everybody. Yeah. Even though Bill's not happy.
And you should order from Springer, because they're so good at publishing and delivering the books they publish. Yeah. They put a public domain book in a book by some academic and charge $76 for it when they've gotten it for free from the public domain.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, I need to write a critique of them somewhere so that they figure out that they shouldn't do that.
Well, hopefully they get lots of orders. They obviously need the practice in shipping.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. But just because the book itself is really good. So I know that the publishers are crap. Yeah. But the book is just blows your mind actually when you start reading about the different forms of synonyms and different variables, etc., that they use in semantic text rather than marked up schema and stuff. It's actually in text retrieval. So
I suspect I've read a lot of that before already in white papers across the web.
Yeah, I mean, I should imagine you have. Yeah, definitely. But it's good to see it in one place. And
if you get what you ordered.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Talking of white papers.
I think they're crap publishers. But no, it's a good.
I get the distinct impression that Bill's less than thrilled with Springer.
Yeah. Talking of white papers, though, one of the SEO groups for newer people to the trade, shall we say, somebody was talking about domain authority the other day. And I explained that, you know, it's a made-up term. And he insisted it was in the PageRank papers. I told him to go and read them again.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. There's a lot of things go around, isn't there, that are inaccurate.
Yeah. Yeah. Domain authority is definitely one of my bugbears at the moment because people do put so much stock in it. And as I say, it's third-party pixie dust. You know, we knew it was pixie dust when it was the PageRank toolbar, but now it's a third-party version of the PageRank toolbar, and people seem to be putting more attention on it than ever. Maybe because it goes up to bigger numbers now. It doesn't just stop at 9 and 10.
Well, I think that's why everybody bought into Alexa so much, was because it had, it counted in the hundreds of thousands and millions, not in, you know, 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm. Well, luckily, most of it, like Alexa, I think some journalists at some point were just referencing to Alexa to give a sense of the size of a website and things like that. But some number were like terribly wrong, and that was atrocious. Now they're using SimilarWeb more, but equally, I don't know. It's just.
Do you use SimilarWeb, Fab? Do you like SimilarWeb?
I don't use it that much, to be honest. No.
I think it's useful for getting that really top level view of like competitors and in the space and similar in the niche just to start.
Yeah. But like, yeah, I think even now SEMrush does similar thing. I don't know how they actually put the data. It also depends on like what data sources they have. But like even like unless they're using some ISP data, unless they're using some other type of data, I don't know. I always don't trust that to the not I mean, it's good to have a sense, but you can check in the, you know, there are even plugins that do similar type of check. But beyond that, yeah, like and equally when you then go to things like social, you know, that doesn't mean anything. It could be it could be pretty much, you know. And then,
for like 10,000 fans or, you know, 50,000 Twitter followers or whatever.
Yeah, it's good to have a good idea, I guess, similar to like search indexes like search metrics, so SEMrush, all those indexes that I think even Href probably has got one right now, maybe.
Just Fabrizio, if I can just jump in for 1 second. Yeah, you know, love tools for trends. Don't like tools for any degree of accuracy whatsoever, because you just can't get it from any tool that I'm aware of to the extent that satisfies people. And I've been grabbed by my lapels at trade shows by people who are very angry because they tried to do something using the data and it wasn't, you know, 100% accurate. So no. I understand that. But I was just thinking about search metrics, and I don't know if people are aware of the impending bankruptcy that they're going to go under, because
isn't it just in the US?
Conductor is suing them. Who is suing them?
Bright Edge.
Bright
Yeah,
Edge. So Bright Edge is suing them. They're going to get out from under by claiming bankruptcy.
Hoping to.
How does that? I mean, they're from Germany. How does that play out?
But they've got a US operation as well.
Yeah, I know.
They've got
German here, so I'm wondering if Boris has a idea for us.
They're being sued for patent infringement because Bright Edge says that they're engaging in some SEO practices that Bright Edge has patented.
Right. And what they didn't do apparently was when they came to the US, that Searchmetrics did not patent their technology that they used in Germany. When they brought it to the US market, that lack of a patent left them open for this.
Or maybe there was nothing to patent and it was just
I don't know whether we should really say too much, but did you read I think it was the TechCrunch piece that talked about the background to it, and
yeah,
there's a lot of stuff gone on, I think, between
you would think that if Searchmetrics was actually using this before the patent was filed by Bright Edge, they would be able to prove prior art and have the case thrown out. They haven't been able to prove that. It's therefore definitely going to be a questionable case, or it wouldn't have dragged on and it wouldn't require a bankruptcy. So this is not as clear-cut as some people are making it.
I do remember reading the Bright Edge patents and laughing the whole time.
Yeah. They are a little bit nonsensical, but unfortunately granted.
Why were you laughing?
Because it was all stuff that it was in the public domain already. It's the fact that they were able to get a patent from it means that there's a pretty clueless patent examiner in the world.
Many. I think we've all seen enough patent cases to know that, you know, there are a lot of patents that, you know, the due diligence has not been done on prior art or on whether something is patentable in the first place.
But there's an awful lot of patent bullies out there, isn't there?
Yes.
You know, there's an awful lot of, I'm not saying that these are, because obviously I don't know the specifics, but there's an awful lot of large corporations that say, I've got more cash than you, so we'll tie up your time and we'll tie up your money in litigation.
Yeah.
Because it takes your time and it takes your money, and regardless of whether they're going to win or not, it's like, who's going to run out of cash paying the lawyers first and be left with enough from VC funding to keep going? So
I don't necessarily understand the philosophy behind filing for bankruptcy as a defense to a patent infringement case. Why not just throw money at them?
I think that, well, I got the impression that they've got like double the VC funding from the looks of it, but as you say, that's just what's been printed. But didn't Searchmetrics had about $340 million in VC funding, and Bright Edge have got $600 million in VC funding. So if it was a case of money versus money, then one's got double the other.
It's a protection for the investors. So yeah, you brought that point up that, you know, Bright Edge has twice as much investment, and in the end, the people who have invested in Searchmetrics stand to lose everything. Searchmetrics can close up shop in the US and come back maybe at some point in the future and reopen, but the people who have invested all those millions, this is all about protecting their investment. And, you know, that's just a dodge. Good for them if they get their money back out of it, or, you know, if the company reemerges or something. As that's one of the reasons you go into bankruptcy, is to emerge later, you know, having gotten from beneath the debt. But I guess the largest question in my mind, the way I read that article, was that this hasn't really been tried as a method of getting out from underneath the.
But to be honest, like, I don't know the legislation side of it, but like, if they allowed to continue business in Germany, cannot US customer buy that product from Germany? Like, I don't know.
There are some things that keep U.S. software of different kinds from being sold in other countries around the world, but I don't think it stops people who are really determined from getting a hold of it.
Maybe it's just their office operation in that country, right?
You know, I don't think it's going to be quite as straightforward and simple as they think, because no company that you try and dodge getting away with not paying a huge amount of money to and then have another operation trading in another country is going to just let that lie, I don't imagine.
However, you know, we can assume that they've taken legal advice over the years of this battle, and their legal advisors who know the intricacies of the case have advised this. Whether TechCrunch have the details of the case correct or not, one can assume that the lawyers do. So if things aren't making sense, I think it's sensible to assume that TechCrunch have the wrong end of the stick rather than that the lawyers do. But we could be proved wrong. The news will no doubt tell us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm sure that we're only hearing half a tale or just stuff that's in the public domain.
Yeah, and given the prevalence, you know, people love to be a startup. Oh, I'm a CEO. I have 2 developers, and I work out of a home office, and I have a software suite that I'm working on, and that's the most popular way of making a name for yourself. And you know, you're dreaming the dream. You're going to have a great career. You're going to have a multi-selling product. Given how many startups there are, at least in the U.S., that are software-based and SaaS software, this could be like the tip of the iceberg. There could be a huge fallout. There could be, you know, all kinds of purchasing of other software companies. There could be, you know, a complete changeover that, you know, makes the U.S. such a bright market for people to start their software tools here.
I think we're seeing the same story all over the world. People are starting software all over the world. Let's face it, I think entrepreneur is now the most common job. I think most of them are mislabeled.
Apart from growth hacker.
I think it even beats growth hackers, because a lot of the growth hackers are entrepreneur growth hackers.
I wonder what percentage of entrepreneurs don't know how to spell the word.
Well, you know, they don't need to necessarily. They're programmers, aren't they? So they don't have to be brilliant at, you know, grammar as such. But, you know, growth hacker for me just means we're bootstrapping our way up, we're skint, and we're just going to go off and eventually seek some funding if we kind of get this thing off the ground. So that seems like a good description of a growth hacker as such.
Yeah, but entrepreneur seems to have evolved into a term which means basically I don't actually have a business yet, but I've got a dream of one. I'm therefore an entrepreneur.
We're getting to the close of the hour. Why don't we go around and tell everybody what you might be up to during the next week? Dawn?
Oh, God. Just trying to think. I've got some decks to do for some presentations, speaking at Search Leads and Ungagged, and I'm constantly starting on my Moz deck properly, getting a draft for that. Marking student assignments, and I'm meeting some biz dev people because I'm going to start to build out my small consultancy into something a bit bigger. So I've got loads of stuff going on. Yeah, this week. Loads. Yeah.
Doc?
Oh, same as usual. Fighting for truth, justice, and the American way. Take over the world. Just trying to keep my head above water right now. I got too many things all coming due at the same time, so I'm just trying to keep my head above water and keep pushing on the SNC launch. Keeps me off the streets, for which the streets are eternally grateful, I'm sure.
Fabrizio, what are you up to next week?
It's quite busy, actually. Apart from the usual ongoing stuff, I think tomorrow there is the SCM Rush SEO surgery, and I'm attending that episode. And then next week there is on Monday the Inbounder in New York. So because I'm going to be in New York next week, so I'm trying to close the week and do some work in the meantime, which is which is like tomorrow shouldn't be that much time consuming, but I have to fly. And yeah, so that's pretty much my week.
Lyndon, your sound is still.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, finally. What have you been saying? Yeah, so this week, well, no, this next few weeks, I've been commissioned to create quite a lot of top 10 lists. So it's listicle creating, which is kind of, back to basics, I suppose, with content creating. So lots of top 10 disgusting foods, 8-week-old fertilized eggs from the Philippines, and things like that. So quite a lot of interesting stuff.
So this week you are mostly playing with your listicles.
That's right, yeah. Which I prefer to play with mine than anybody else.
Michael?
Okay, so it's hard to beat listicles, but I've got quite a bit of content clustering, if you will, to build out for a client in particular, while trying to avoid falling into the pitfalls of shooting for the stars as far as the topics that they want to pursue, so that they can, model their launch and their content around a particular software product. Taking on another assignment that's all about content with a team of 3 writers or editors who apparently don't write this stuff originally and technically edit for a team of hard-hitting professionals in this field. And I have no clue how well established they are in terms of SEO and semantics and search, and so that promises to be pretty interesting. And I use that in the Chinese fashion, so that's what I'm up to.
William?
Yeah, just catching up on a little bit of project work for the week, and then also playing around with a really cool camera. Right here is the Iris 360. So I'm going to be practicing with the virtual tours on Google Maps. So creating that whole, stitching the 360s together, learning that whole process, and then uploading that whole piece to the map profile.
That's
a lot of fun.
How much is the camera?
I believe this one was $2,600, but I'm borrowing it from a good friend. He's basically, it's a great camera, but
awesome. Yeah. You should all share, because you couldn't use that camera all of the time. It's probably sitting on a shelf 95% of the time.
It's got 4 lenses, and what it's needed is you basically have everything is remote control from your phone. So you walk away and you take a couple, you just hit the button that says take photos. It takes 30 seconds to process it, and then another 30 seconds to render it, and then it's already there. And then it's basically held to the camera there, but you can also preview it right on your phone. So just in case you messed up, you can go back and do it again.
Fantastic.
So yeah, I'm going to be testing it out on a couple different clients of mine and just seeing what they know. I'm practicing, so I can't really mess up on a practice client, free client, free project. Well, I guess I can mess up, but at least I won't get in trouble for it.
So it's a good reason to have a Google sticker on your phone.
I actually, the company that I'm bringing in as a test, I did the same thing. I had not a sticker, but I took a picture of their outside of their store, and then I took pictures when I was a customer inside their entire store and put them on. So it was a shoe store. It didn't have any pictures of a shoe store like that, shelving and all that stuff. So it was really, they remember me as the Google guy. Like, even though I don't work with Google,
A good plan. Ammon?
Well, we were doing a big launch for one site, and my work on that is done. It's over to the hands of its owners tomorrow for its 2nd review. It was going to be launched last week, but there were some changes to make. They were made. So I've moved on already to the next project on my list, which is a rebrand and relaunch. And yeah, going good.
Good to hear. I'm in the middle of doing a big write-up on phrase-based indexing because there's a new phrase-based indexing patent that came out today. And I think it's being used by Google. There's not too much about it anywhere. I've written some things, but hardly anybody else has. Google I/O starts this week, I believe. And there's a SEM Rush chat meetup tomorrow with Marnie Hayes, which should be really good.
Yeah, I'm going to a meetup tomorrow as well. Mine's in Cardiff. No, not tomorrow. Thursday. Thursday is my Cardiff one.
I'm starting to get out there and do a bit of networking beyond SEOs as well, which I hate because I like SEOs. But I'm starting to go to some of the going meeting some business owners, rather than business owners that are SEOs, and starting to go to things like the Chamber of Commerce and Talk of Manchester and some of the networking lunches, and yeah, so I'm kind of looking forward to it because I've kind of got used to just going to things looking a bit more like a geek. Now I'm going to have to brush off my business hair.
Just be ready for the fact that even today, so many of them do not get it. You know, if you go to a meeting of a Chamber of Commerce and even one company actually gets it that isn't already doing it and therefore too busy to be at the Chamber of Commerce meeting, you're doing well.
Yeah. Well, I went to a conference last week. I actually spoke at the Manchester Multi-Channel Conference, and that was fairly well attended, to be honest. And I had quite a lot of people that came up to me and wanted to take my details and asked me if I did consultancy, and they were going to ring me, and there were people that owned reasonably big, fairly well-known e-commerce sites. So that was useful because some of them, well, they're that busy doing it that sometimes they don't understand what's going on with search. For instance, loads of them didn't realize that now it's not good practice to have like interstitials on mobile sites. And, a lot of them are like e-commerce sites that are like fashion sites, and they automatically throw these things up to get people to subscribe. And they were like, oh my God, we're all going to die. Interstitials on. So it's good. I think we all
say goodbye to our audience now. Take care, everybody. We're going to keep on talking about SEO for a while. Have fun.
Sorry. When I start.